ready for a movie that has literally come out of nowhere. You're watching Beyond the Trailers review of Legends of Oz, Dorothy's Return.
I can't seem to find the yellow brick
house, wall, fireplace.
Road.
Oh, of course. Why would you be looking for a yellow brick wall?
Experience the magic.
What say ye, peeps?
What are they saying?
Peep, 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 cheep. Can't you hear that?
And return to the greatest legend ever in 3D.
I can't take this off ever.
Legends of Oz.
I knew they'd go nuts for that.
We spend a lot of time here on Beyond the Trailer talking about animation. Not only is the industry enjoying an all-time high, but it's also become highly competitive. And through careful study, we've come to know all the players as they jockey for box office domination and the coveted Best Animated Feature Oscar. Yet now a new player emerges, as unexpected as when Dorothy landed in Oz herself. Prana Studios helped out on Hoodwinked back in 2005, then reteamed with the Weinstein Company for the Unstable Fables series in 2008. However, their biggest claim to fame is partnering with Disney Toon Studios for the prolific Tinkerbell movies, as well as the Planes spin-offs. Yes, can you believe Disney outsources some of its animation? Lucky for them, Prana Studios does a nice job. So nice that Prana has decided to see if they can make their very own animated movie. To do so, they're partnering with some other new kids on the block, Summertime Entertainment and Clarius Entertainment, who are giving Legends of Oz a respectable debut on almost 3,000 screens. This is actually Clarius Entertainment's very first release as a distributor, and they have a Michael Douglas, Diane Keaton comedy directed by Rob Reiner slated for July. Legends of Oz boasts an impressive talent roster as well, with Glee's Lea Michele as Dorothy, Bernadette Peters as Glinda, Dan Aykroyd as the Scarecrow, Kelsey Grammer as the Tin Man, and Jim Belushi as the Cowardly Lion, while Megan Hilty, Oliver Platt, and Martin Short voice less familiar and downright new characters to the Oz universe. Behind the camera, there's director Will Finn, who's worked in animation for years with Disney, Don Bluth, and DreamWorks. His co-director, Daniel St. Pierre, also has had a long career in animation, working with Filmation and Disney. But really, can this movie truly compete with all the highly polished animated movies already out there from the well-established animation studios? And what does it mean if the answer to that question is yes? I really did not want to see this movie, probably for the same reason that a number of you are thinking of passing it by. And that's because, quite frankly, the animation doesn't look very good. It looks like a direct-to-video release. But when I got the invitation to the press screening, I remembered that a number of you were interested in the trailer at least, so I really should go and check it out. But I really didn't want to go, and I was dragging my feet. But I'm so glad that I went, because as soon as the lights went down, and the introduction started, I was blown away, which is an appropriate term because the opening credit sequence for this film is a tornado. And I really can't stress enough that you see this film in 3D. It's very well utilized. And I knew right away from the credit sequence that this was going to be something special, because I thought to myself, you know what, maybe the animation tools at their disposal aren't at the level of Disney, Pixar, or DreamWorks, even Blue Sky Studios and Illumination Entertainment. Maybe Prana Studios is a little bit behind in the technology department. But when it comes to creative, I think in many ways they're actually ahead. This is a very well done film. It's well directed, well written, and well acted. So I love that opening credit sequence. The 3D was phenomenal, and it was just very inventive. Then as the movie started, yes, it took a while to get used to this kind of disjointed character movement. It doesn't look as smooth or as professional as your average animated film. But I was giving it a chance, and I have to say, the settings are very good. Even though the character animation is off, the set design is some of the best I've ever seen. Oz looks fantastic. It's really well realized. It's as good, if not in some cases better, than Oz the Great and Powerful, the live-action film that came out from Disney last year. And I would also say this has elements of Candyland. If you ever had an affinity for the Candyland board game and you like to just stare at it sometimes and imagine how great it would be to walk through Candyland, as I did as a child, and I think every child does, which is why that's such a popular game, you will really like this movie as well. So the set design was good right from the beginning. However, it took about, I'd say, 15-20 minutes for me to get used to it, but then when Martin Short's the Jester entered the picture, I guess literally entered the movie, I was hooked. And that's because his opening sequence, his introductory sequence, was surprisingly dark, and it reminded me of those great childhood films that everybody has that went a little too far, that you maybe thought, maybe I shouldn't be watching this, and it stuck with you as a result. I'm talking about The Brave Little Toaster, Secret of Nim. If you go back even further, Disney's darker days, I guess, The Black Cauldron, those kind of films that you've either seen when they came out or you've heard of in whispers and chat forums. I think this is one of those movies that's going to stick with you because it's just really, as I said, it has a lot of depth. It's very inventive. So you will see past, just trust me on this, you will see past the character animation. And once you do, you will be just swept away into this tornado of entertainment. I just really liked it. Even during some of the songs in the movie, I was tapping my feet. And again, I was like, I just can't believe how good this movie is. It just really surprised me. Now, I don't want to raise your expectations too much. I want you to be equally surprised. But I think this trailer is so not what people are expecting that it's going to be hard for you to get your expectations up that high anyway. So you're just going to have to take a leap of faith. So I think you should do it. And there's a lot of good things here as well. You can't really tell too much about the voice acting because, with the exception of Martin Short, Bernadette Peters, Oliver Platt a little bit, but in general, all the character voices just kind of blend into their characters, which is good. You're not going to be sitting there in some animated films, you're like, oh, that's clearly this actor. That's not the case here. They blend seamlessly. But also, the other thing I wanted to mention is that this movie updates Dorothy to someone who lives in current times. And I thought they did a really nice job with that. And they had a little bit of like a B or C storyline about dealing with farm foreclosure and tornadoes. And we've had a lot of tragedy in the middle of this country in the United States with tornadoes. And I think that this movie really addresses that and is respectful of that. So if you live in a region which has problems like this, I think there'll be an extra level for you to relate to with this film. So I really liked it. I think it's a hidden gem. I think Piranha Studios is the studio to watch. And if they can just up their game a little bit and just their character animation, as I said, their set design is fantastic. But if they can just fix that just a little bit, I think that they really could become a major contender very quickly. And my hats off to the voice work as well. Megan Hilty was very good. I loved her China Princess. I got the chance to interview Megan Hilty, so I hope you'll check that out about this movie. But I really think that the huge credit here goes to the directors because they really did a phenomenal job. And even though they probably knew that the animation they were working with wasn't on par with the other studios in the competition, they didn't let that stop them from making the best movie they could, and that shows. So this is not only an entertaining film, but it's a great example to all of you aspiring filmmakers out there that you should never back down in terms of effort and quality, because that will shine through, even if some of your technological stuff isn't where it should be. So make sure you see Legends of Oz, Dorothy's Return in theaters in 3D. I really think it'll be a shame if you miss it. All right, you can check out some more episodes right now.